National REIA and get access to all these cool benefits. Hands to the camera if this is not your first rodeo. You've been on this call before. All right, Patrick, Sarah, Kelly, awesome. Hands to the camera if you are new to the Boston REIA, first time in here. Excellent. Nice to see you, Joe. And anybody else new? Any new members? Anybody new to this call? So Kelly, you're just not going to answer no matter what I do, huh? There she is. What's up, Kelly? And Val Marie, is your sound working? Hands to the camera if your sound is working. Toss it up there. Maybe yes. Everybody's sounds working. All right. Thumbs up. Cool. So for everybody else who's coming in, I see 18 people in the room. Let's get your cameras turned on. The only exception I make for cameras turned on is if you're not wearing any clothes. Keep your cameras off. Other than that, if you got clothes on, you can turn your camera on. Remember, real estate is an interactive game. So if people don't know who you are, then how could they ever ask you to invest in one of their deals? How could they ever give you money to invest in one of your deals? And how could they ever bring a deal to you if they don't recognize your name or your face? Hence the camera if you recognize it's a people business. It's all about who recognizes you, yes? Awesome. And I'll tell you something else that they don't tell you in normal trainings in the real estate courses and in the world in general. You probably heard something like this. It's all about who you know. Who's heard that? In success and making money, it's all about who you know. Who's heard this before? Excellent. Well, I'm going to tell you that is a lie because I know Elon Musk or I know of Elon Musk, but Elon doesn't know who I am. So I never got a free Tesla, never got a check in the mail from Elon. So it's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. Because I do know of Elon, I've bought Tesla shares. Hence, if you understand, it's all about who knows you, not who you know. If you need some convincing, I'll tell you this. My tenants know who I am. I don't know who they are. I got 48 tenants. They all know who my property management company is. My property management company knows who I am, and so I get paid. Hands to camera if that's a very clear way to get paid. You understand the process now. Awesome. Excellent. Now, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you how to get in touch with my tenants. I'd have to go to my property manager, and I'd have to ask them, like, who's there? What do they pay? Like, how's this work? Now, who here on the call would like to become a landlord? Who'd like to own real estate, have that passive investment income? Excellent, excellent. I see a couple people who are dropping in the chat what they do. Patrick's an investment teacher. I see, or he's an investor and a teacher. And then Val Marie is a hunter. I'm a broker associate with BHHS Realty Associate Professionals, and I'm open to do business. Excellent, Val Marie. Welcome to the game. Who else? Drop it in the chat. What is your experience in real estate? We'll say, are you a landlord? Are you a wholesaler or a realtor? Are you a rehabber? Or are you new? If you're new, you can just say, hey, I'm new, getting started. So drop it in the chat. I want to make this super interactive while waiting for everybody to jump in. And Duncan, do I have permission to start sharing about the Boston REIA? Is that all right?
Yep, that's fine. You're good.
Awesome. So before we get started, let's give Duncan and Kelly a big round of applause. They are the creators, the managers of the Boston REIA. They've been doing this for over a decade, serving, supporting, sharing information, gathering people together, making deals happen. And as I say all the time, building millionaires, because real estate builds more millionaires than any other asset class in the world. So let's give them a big round of applause for all the work they do to keep and have kept doing even through the years, through recessions, through COVID, through all these different challenges that have faced us as real estate investors. They've been serving the community for a long, long time. So I'm going to share my screen and run through what the National REIA is all about. Hands to the camera if you can see my screen. Excellent. So the National REIA is, the Boston REIA is the #1 real estate investor association in the country. We have the most attendees, we offer the most deals, and it's just a generally cool place to be. Hands to camera if you've been a member of a National REIA or been to another REIA in the past. Anybody ever been to something else like this? Awesome, excellent, very cool. So just so you know, we're #1. This is our November meeting, and I want to welcome all members and guests. This is your pathway to success. Now, before we get started, I do have to read something that our attorneys put together called a liability disclosure. The reason I'm reading this quickly is so that you cannot sue us if something bad happens. Hands to the camera if we're all adults and we know how to manage our own finances. Excellent. So let me read this really quickly. The Boston REIA assumes no liability or responsibility for the outcome of any real estate transaction, decision, or other action that any Boston REIA member or visitor enter into as a result of attending any meeting, listening to any guest speaker, or talking to any Boston REIA member, guest, visitor, or persons. Hands to the camera if I, again, get your commitment to not sue us for any mistakes that you might make. Awesome. That being said, real estate does make a lot of money, but people who mess up and don't get the right information and don't trust the advisors in some cases can make mistakes. So we just want to make sure that you're playing the game intelligently, trust your gut, but also trust and verify, get the right advisors to make sure you don't make any mistakes. So Boston REIA is #1 in deal flow, networking, education, and investor resources. You can go to bostonrea.com and get access to a whole bunch of free stuff. And if you're a member, you get access to some of the coolest benefits, like our relationships we've built. Remember, I mentioned earlier, it's all about relationships. Well, the National REIA has created an association of partnerships with Home Depot, Real Protect, Rent Perfect, Office Depot, Equity Trust, and these are just to name a few. They offer us massive trade discounts. Hands to the camera if you like discounts. Me too. I also like discounts, Thomas. I see you, bro. All right, so some of those discounts also include our local partners. This is something that the Boston REIA has gone and negotiated for you. These are people who lend hard money, attorneys, and create opportunities for real estate investors who are local to the market. I know there's only about 20 people on this call, so I'm assuming none of our partners are on right now. I don't see any of them. So if you did want capital, who here's ever said, I need more money to buy real estate deals? Have you ever thought that? Real estate deals, money? It's kind of capital intensive business, right? If you had more of this, you'd be able to buy more of this and be just a lot easier. So we have hard money lenders. If you're scared of hard money, well, you haven't met our guys and our gals. They're very nice. The reason it's called hard money is because you're able to close on a deal with the money hard. When you put money down, it's called hard. Hands to camera if you understand the difference between hard and soft money. Soft money is it's not right away. It's finance. It comes later on. Hard money is cash. It shows up. All right. So we have something really cool called a newsletter. Now, everybody's got a newsletter and they're not all created equal. Ours is super, super cool because we send you deals. We send you really good information. If you're in the Boston market, you need to stay up to date on landlord policies, real estate policies, laws, and things that are coming down the pipeline. So go to bostonrealestateinvestorsassociation.com and click on the sign up link so you can get your contact information added in there, added to our email list. You don't want to miss it because it's an opportunity for you to get access to more deals. Hence, if you want more deals, we'd like access to more properties. Excellent. So get on the email list and start paying attention to something that might be good for you. Again, that link is bostonrealestateinvestorsassociation.com. It's a super long link, but if you spell everything right, you will find it. Let me know if everybody's got this. Anybody need me to stay a little longer? Everybody's got cool. Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause. You are fast. You are quick. So our all-star membership, this is something we're going to talk about tonight. This I'm going to suggest that everybody jump in. I'm a member of multiple REIAs all across the country. And the reason I join up, the reason I pay the fees is because I like access to people who have success. I like proximity. So proximity is power. Who's heard that before? Knows the closer you get to money, the closer you get to deals, the more deals you get. So you want to be in proximity to the people who are doing deals in your market. So the All-Star membership gives you access to the free monthly events, free entry. I'm sorry, they're paid, but you get free access to the monthly events, the free entrance to the subgroup meetings, like the 52 Weeks of Wealth on Saturday, like our Buy Real Estate to Cash Flow and Get Rich on Wednesdays, and working with investors. Then we have a Home Depot 2% rebate discount, which we're going to give you a little bit more information on in a little bit. And then exclusive member benefits, including access to certain trainings, certain resources like Alchemist Nation. Our website has tons and tons of discounts and workshops and more. I'm going to suggest that you join today because real estate is a sport. It's a contact sport. Learn to be a player, learn the game, join tonight, take action now. It's scary if you're having fun so far. I got some good information about the National REIA. We're going to dive into the Home Depot discounts with our celebrity real estate agent. We've got Sarah Abrams, who also has done some conversations with Home Depot, figured out how the bonuses work, how to get extra access to extra cash. Who wants some extra cash? If you're a real estate investor buying lumber and screws and flooring, you know that prices have gone through the roof. So a little rebate, a little tax, not tax, but a little benefit would help right now during our challenging times with prices. Sarah, would you like to share your screen?
Yes, please.
Awesome.
I am ready.
So Sarah is also a licensed realtor in the Boston area. She's also a successful investor, loves working with investors. So she's an investor-friendly agent. And because she's got so much knowledge with Home Depot, she's actually going to share what they do for us as far as discounts for members. Remember, this is members only.
Yes. So eventually, Home Depot does offer, stuff to rewards to anyone that joined the rewards program, but there are stuff that is very specific to only our members. The 2% rebate that you mentioned, Walter, I'm going to explain in details. How does it work is that they have a fixed periods biannually, on anything and everything that you buy. These periods starts in January 1st until June 30th, and then it starts again July 1st until the end of the year. And their only catch basically is to spend $5,000 to qualify for that, that gift card rebate. And anything under 1,000, like there is no limit to how much you can actually collect with them. Anything under 1,000, you get a Home Depot gift card. Anything over 1,000 or more, you get a check, and it gets mailed out to you within 60 days from the closing date of each period. So it's very important to make sure that your mailing address is always up to date with Home Depot, so you wouldn't lose your rebates. So that's number one. Another big thing that helps all investors, fix and flippers, buy and hold. Any kind of investor would definitely need some paint at the very least. And we have a big one here. So our members start right away at the gold tier. And what does that mean is that they get 20% off the paint right away. Normally, people need to spend $6,500 to become on that gold tier. Now, someone might think, okay, well, I need to spend the $5,000. I just signed up today and I need to buy paint right away, but I didn't spend the $5,000. There is no need to meet the rebate minimum, the $5,000. This is completely separate. So, and you get the 20% at the checkout. How it works is basically, this is a rewards program. Just think of it as CVS or Shaw's or any store that runs programs. So you enter your phone number, and it's going to just bring up your account. And in this rewards program, they want you to register a payment method. This could be a credit card, a debit, checking account, a PayPal, gift card. There is all kind of, there is many options for payment methods. So if you, and the only way to collect this 2% rebate is by using this payment method. So basically you have a Visa card that you subscribed or like had it registered on your Home Depot account. So enter your phone number, swipe this card, and then you get a 20% at the checkout, and then the 2% you're gonna get this at the end of the 6 months. The 20% discount of paint is good for any paint stains primer of a gallon or more. Doesn't apply for quartz or spray or any of that. Also, cabinets, bathroom and kitchen, you can get up to 20% of select Hampton Bay kitchen and bath cabinets if you purchase 10 or more in a single transaction, which is also very easy to accomplish. And how does it work is that you get 10% from National REIA and 10% from Home Depot. Both coupons are stackable with any other store discounts going on. Volume pricing program or bid room. This is really, it gives you the best, almost like the best deal going on, because it gives you additional 15%. So how it works is that you need to have a list of large items that's going to cost $1,500. And yes, they have not increased your minimum. Your minimum still is $1,500 to qualify for the bid room in a single transaction. So you just take this list, give it to the pro desk, have them prepare a code for you. Once they do that, have them send it to the bid room. It just takes a few minutes, and then it's going to come back without any applied discount up to 15%. And then, once again, you enter at the, checkout, you enter your registered phone number and pay with the registered card or payment method, and then you're going to get the 2% on top of that at the end of the 6 months rebate, that specific 6 months rebate. It's actually great because you can you have all your receipts up to 24 months. They call it B2B. You can track all of your purchases for up to 24 months. The only thing that, it's not recommended to send through the bid room is the paint, because you get a better deal with the 20%. The maximum for the bid room is 15. So you get a better deal on the paint alone. So just never send it through the bid room. Numbers, Home Depot has paid in the past 6 months over $500,000 to chapter members. Average rebate per member, almost $1,600. And what does that mean? It's about 5 or 4 memberships, worth of that one rebate from 6 months from one period is enough to buy you 4 years of memberships or 5 years of memberships. So this is alone is a big value. If you would like to become a member, or if you want to see if your membership expired or how much time you have left in it, please call or text Kelly. She's gonna take care of you. Feel free to take a picture of her number and reach out to her. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's give Sarah Ebram a big round of applause. And if you don't already have Kelly's number, I believe she usually puts it in the chat right around this time. Bam, there it is. Chat number's in the chat. All right. So text Kelly now. That's a good time to just grab her number. I know, like myself, I'd rather just take action in the moment that I see something. And if I write it down, I'm probably never going to send that text. Hence, Cam, if you've ever done that before, you get a card, or you're like, oh, I'll connect with this person later, and it just never happens. Kelly is probably one of the most powerful people you want to know in this community. So my suggestion is grab that number, just shoot her a text. You don't have to actually text her back today, but just shoot her a text and be like, hey, Kelly, this is, Brandon. Just want to let you know, thank you, whatever. Just text her your name, and then she'll follow up with you later on. She knows that you're here to learn and get yourself to the next level. So don't worry, it won't be super texty at the moment. It's no big commitment. It's a small commitment with a big return. Hands can't feel like small commitments with big returns. You sound like me.
Yes.
You might be a real estate investor. All right. So moving forward, benefit to everybody who signs up today for the National REIA, the Boston REIA. We're going to give you access to our Recession Proof Real Estate Conference and Expo. This is happening in Orlando on April 29th to the 30th. This is a 2-day conference. We're going to have some vendors, some experts, and I will be speaking and teaching deeper strategies on how to find off-market properties, how to get them funded without any of your own money, and how to manage those projects, and what types of real estate are the right investments for you in this market. Who here likes the idea of being recession-proof? Does anybody like the idea? I mean, we are in a recession. If you aren't aware, we are in a actual technical recession, and I am committed to being recession-proof. So, Hans Cam, if you're also committed to being recession-proof, hell yeah, maybe I'll send you a shirt in the mail. If I come to the event just for the shirt, right? So everybody who signs up for the membership tonight ends up getting an access ticket to the Recession Proof Conference. This is a $997 value that we've negotiated with the National REIA. They negotiated on your behalf. So me and Dorena said yes, because we love this community and we've been a part of it for so many years. I have personally raised over $1 million just from the relationships that I have in the National REIA. I've bought myself over $3 million worth of real estate from the National, for members of the National REIA. Hence, Cam, if you recognize, that's a lot of value to me. It's hooked me up. It's helped me out. So we don't mind paying it forward and supporting you guys. Some of the other benefits, like free things, I like deals, are some of our more other partners like Call Fire, Build a Sign, Rent Perfectly, I mentioned earlier, Hammer Zen, again, Equity Trust. This is how I raise a lot of capital, is investors who are using Equity Trust, REI Pro, Podio, and much, much more. These are deals that we've negotiated from the National REIA and the Boston REIA level. If you're new
Hey,
to real estate
Walter,
investing, yep.
if I could just jump in and share my screen for two minutes only, just on some of these other benefits that I think people might not be using yet, need to know about. So just 2 minutes here to tell you some other ones. I just want to show you the back end of our system here. Let me just share this thing here.
And so everybody knows, Duncan right now is in Kenya. So he's out in South Africa, hanging out, enjoying himself, the power of real estate, right? Go ahead, Duncan.
Okay, so you can see my screen now?
Almost. Look, yes.
Okay, super. So when you log into the members area, we have broken it down to different tier partners. So Sarah did the Home Depot one. We have Rent Perfect. If you need any sort of background check, criminal check, to get you the best tenants, these guys are the way to go. We have a special deal with them, and they'll do skip tracing also. I really want to talk about our specialty insurance, because if you're doing flipping, you have your rental property empty for a while, most insurance companies will drop you after 30 days. We won't. So if you go to the website, if I can get to it here, you'll see some of the program highlights is that this insurance program, many different types, they're taking the investor in mind. You don't have to do any pictures to get it. They do vacant, occupied properties, no photos, inspections, as I mentioned. You can pay for the insurance only for the month you use it. You don't have to have a full year policy in place. And they're just a fantastic rental, or I should say insurance company for renters, for investors, for flippers and that. So please check them out. We have some great deals through them, and you'll find that in the members area. The same thing when you log into our members area. If you haven't heard about Home Depot yet, let me just flip back here. Let me move this off here. Let me go back to our members area. Excuse me. What Office Depot does is pretty much the same as Home Depot, except you're getting discounts from anywhere from 25 to 50%. You shop online, they do free delivery. These are really plugging into the millions of investors that we have around the country, and taking all those people and providing you some great discounts. So if you're got any office supplies or anything that you need at Office Depot, use the ODP Office Depot program through the website that we provide through our members area, and you're going to save very, very, very big. So that's another huge one. And then just last tonight, I just uploaded this today. I want to talk about what would stop you if we gave you a system, and I'm going to make this for our members only. We want you to beta test it. We want you to trial it. We want you to just test it out and see it. Everything is that we're claiming to do. First of all, you have to have some sort of presence that people can find you to check out your credibility. You have to have some sort of follow-up process, contact management system, system to make your offers for you. But on top of that, what you really need to be successful as a real estate agent, and this is what I really, as an investor, I took my whole career on this, is that it's all about generating leads for your business. It's one thing about how to structure deals. There's 100 different ways to structure a deal, and there's 100 different ways to generate leads. But generating leads can be hard for most people. So what we've done is we've partnered with a company to provide you a list, and when you trial this system for 1 month, you can download as many absentee owners, active listing, cash buyers, high equity, private lenders, renters, bankruptcy, foreclosure activity, pre-foreclosures, tax liens, upside down, low equity. Look at all these leads that we're going to give you. And the only thing you have to do is, once you download them, is contact them. And we're going to even provide you with an automated mailing system for postcards or letters to put it out there. And I really want to challenge people to mail 100 letters only, 100 letters only. And some of my favorite and got my best results from is probate. Now, this one we do charge per lead, because these are these are really take a little bit more time to get, and they're very niche. And I've got my best deals from probate. But, just email 100 and see what happens. Start working with 3 to 5 leads, get a deal. And if
He didn't mean
that
email.
deal
He meant
works for
he
you,
meant mail. Mail 100, not email.
mail. Yeah, mail. Thank you. So, and if that lead works for you and you close a deal and make 3, 5, 10,000, whatever it may be, I would like you to continue to use the system. It's a low monthly cost for all these leads. So in the members area,
And I don't know if it's me. Did Duncan's sound just stop, or is it just on my end?
Could be me. Let me turn off my video to make. Let me turn off my video.
Then I have an
So
issue.
what I'm going to do is,
Duncan, I can hear you.
okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in our members area. When you go to Boston.memberflow, you're going to go to Marketplace. Okay. And you're going to look for our lead generation. Scroll down here, our Real Flow Smart Way to Invest. Okay. And we're going to give you that for 30 days to trial. All I want you to do is when you're ready, download 100 leads, download 1,000. I don't care. But I want you to mail them and start talking to them when they contact you back through your website, through your phone, what have you, and get a deal done. Okay. So that's a special offer I'm putting together just for our members to trial this and help you get a deal. And this is where Walter comes in next, because if you're afraid to make an offer, you're afraid to know how to structure an offer, we have a mentoring program. Walter can help you out with that. So I just want to, these are the type of things we do for you to make you successful. So with that said, I'm going to cut out of here, look in our members area, grab the link. When you're ready, you get 30 days and go for it.
Awesome. Let's give Duncan a round of applause. He's been working really hard to make sure that there's more and more resources for everybody who's a member, and for everybody, even our non-members. Just so you know, like, membership's actually super affordable. Who would like to know how much it actually costs to get access to all of these deals? All right. So wait no longer. Next slide is the cost of the National REIA, which is $280 per person for a single person and $380 for a couple. So if you came with a partner, you have a couple, you actually get a sweet discount for purchasing. This is the time to make the call. This way you can get access to that sweet deal where you're able to get access to all those leads for 30 days. And then, like Duncan said, just send out 100. He's right. I used to send out 3,000 mailers a month, and I got a huge return on investment with that. But if you just send out 100, people will call you back. Answer the camera if you know it's smart to start with a small list, just small beta test, see how you like it. And it's a really, man, mailers are a very, very good way to work, especially now that everybody's on the digital space. People just don't send mail anymore. And so your mail actually stands out. It looks different. So I strongly suggest using that resource, get access to the benefits and the deals for $280 a year. You're talking about $28 a month. You're talking about less than $1 a day. And I'm not going to tell you what Dave Ramsey says about that coffee you're having. So for less than $1 a day, you get access to all of these benefits and access to trainings, resources, the website, and then the cool deal that Duncan just gave us. Let's give Duncan one more round of applause. That's a really cool deal that he put together, especially for you guys. Stayed up late last night to make sure that happened. That's super wild. Again, the phone number is 864-906-4111. And I would text Kelly just because she's a super valuable resource to have in your database. So shoot her a text now, take action on the REIA. If it's something that you're going to be in real estate for more than a year, this is something you want to jump into now. So shoot Kelly that text. This is the time we're going to open up for all of our members, and I'll even open it up to everybody who's a non-member right now. Drop in the chat your haves, wants, and needs. Remember, your request must be something specific, limited to, I would say, just something that somebody can easily read. And then requests must have contact information. No advertising, please. If you're an attorney, please don't drop in the chat, hey, I'm an attorney, come work with me. That is super boring and super unhelpful. Hands if you understand the rules. Awesome. So if you're an investor who's buying property, type in the chat. Like for me, I'll do an example. I buy multifamily properties in Fall River, Massachusetts. I like 2+ bedrooms, and I will pay in cash. So that's me. And then I can drop my phone number in there, although I'm not going to because too many people have my phone number right now. So, so I'll drop my email address. So drop your contact information in the chat and then ask what you're looking for. If you're looking for private capital to invest in your deals, make sure that you're clear about what kind of deals you're doing. This is your chance to type into the chat your haves, wants, and needs. And I'll do mine as a quick example. Fall River, multi-family properties, 2+ bedrooms. I close in cash. Bam. Awesome. And then make sure you put your contact information like Glenn is doing. He said, I need a 3 to 4 bedroom, 2-bath to rent, sublease. And his phone number is, he messed up his phone number, 617-331-9687. So for everybody in the chat, drop something in there. Dorina is looking for multis in Fall River and Springfield. She's looking for 6+ units. Awesome. Excellent. So drop in the chat. This is your haves, wants, and needs. This is a benefit of networking. Who knows who might have what you want? I've also got access to capital. I know some people who are looking to deploy capital right now. So if you're looking for hard money lenders, private money lenders, I've got some access to some people in the Boston market who would love to invest in other people's deals, including maybe even Duncan. He mentioned that a couple months ago that he might actually be investing. So drop in the chat what your goals are, what you're looking for. Excellent. So while everybody's dropping in the chat, let me share something special about today's main speaker. It's me. I'm going to be sharing the recession-proof real estate investing strategies, what's working, and how it can work for you. Hands to the camera if you're interested in learning how to become recession-proof in real estate. You'd like to own a shirt like this so you know you walk around and everybody's like, man, how'd you do it? How'd you get recession-proof? I'm going to show you the strategies tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause for hanging in there. For everybody who's hanging out and is like on the call, but technically not on the call because your camera's off, let's turn your cameras on. I'm really an interactive speaker. And look, if it was some other speaker, I wouldn't mind, but it's me. And, you know, you like me, I like you. So I'd like to be able to see you through the rest of this call. Give yourselves a round of applause. The camera's already on. I appreciate you guys. Glenn, I see you. Joe, Kelly, Dorina, Brandon, Sarah, Val Marie, Patrick, Kelly. Thank you so much for turning your cameras on. For everybody who's got the cameras turned off, let's turn those on, except for Kelly Duffy. She's sneezing. She's sick. We're sending you a lot of blessings, Kelly, so you feel a little bit better. But for everybody else, let's get those cameras turned on so it's a lot more fun for me. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate you, brother. It is good to see your face. So before we dive into how to become recession-proof, I think it's really important to understand the market. Who here knows that if you don't understand the market, you can't invest, right? That's how you get hurt. Everybody, hands to the camera if you understand. You don't want to get hurt in real estate. All right. So I'm going to explain what actually is happening in the marketplace right now. And I'm going to allow you a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of understanding. I will tease to you that I am going to offer something that's at an irresistible price. At some point tonight, I'm going to offer something that's worth over $4,000 that will help you become recession proof. Hands to the camera if making $1 million is worth $4,000 upfront investment. Excellent. Okay. So at some point when I ask for that money, just know I don't care if you pay me or not. It's your life. It's not mine. I am already filthy rich. I'm super happy. I live in Tampa now, so I no longer live in Boston, although I did grow up in Fall River. I still own 48 units in the city, so I still travel back to visit my family. In fact, I'll be back there in November, visiting everybody for Thanksgiving for 2 days only because I don't like visiting in the cold. Hands to camera if you can get what I'm talking about, right? It's cold outside right now, isn't it? I'm sorry, I don't mean to rub it in, but I do my best to only go back for 4th of July because it's really nice during 4th of July. And then I visit in Thanksgiving because I can't let down the Portuguese food. And then I visit again in Christmas for the same exact reason. My family gets together. There's a lot of good food. And we crack open the wine that we created for the year. So, you want to be around during certain holidays. Hands to camera if family is really important. If you agree that family is really important. Excellent. One of the reasons I started investing in real estate was because I wanted to create legacy for the family that didn't exist. I didn't have kids yet. So I was thinking like, I may have kids one day and I want them not to have the life that I had. I didn't get to see my dad growing up. I didn't get to see a lot of my family and friends because I was so busy being stuck in a house because my family couldn't take me out to go to, trips and vacations. I didn't see most of the world. I had no clue there was even a world out there. I stayed in my hometown. Who here didn't travel out of their hometown until they were a full grown adult? Anybody? So I was stuck inside this little town. I didn't know there was anything out there. And that really stopped and slowed down my progress. It really stopped my ability to actually grow because I didn't even know there was money. Like I grew up poor. I grew up in a poor family, and everybody told me that like this is how money is made. You got to work hard. Who's heard you got to work hard for money? Yeah. It turns out that's actually not true. I didn't realize that until I was rich. Well, I didn't realize that until right before I got rich. Because once I stopped working hard and I started working smart, who's heard you got to work smarter, not harder? Who's heard that? Yeah, we've all heard it. And then who also has not actually done it? Like, has noticed that like you're not actually rich yet, right? So I realized I was hearing the stuff, but I wasn't taking action on the stuff. Like I was like, okay, I'm working, you got to work harder, not smarter, not harder. But I also was told you got to work hard, right? You got to work hard for success, and you got to work smarter, not harder. And like nobody was telling me real estate, like except for my dad. My dad used to listen to Dave Lindahl in the van. Who here knows who Dave Lindahl is? Wrote the book No Money Down. So he's like almost the godfather of real estate investing. Like he kind of went out there and just like cracked the code open and like started revealing all the secrets. And he wrote some really good books. He still runs a great program called Ultimate Partnering, where everybody gets together. It's all investors, and they network and they buy real estate deals together. He does a lot of large multifamilies now. So anyway, I'm listening to Dave Lindahl in the car with my dad. Now I'm like, I don't know, 10 years old. And my dad turns over to me and I'm like, Dad, why are we listening to this? Why are we listening to this guy? And my dad's like, well, son, he knows things about money that I don't know. Hence the camera, if you know those people out there who might know things about money that you don't know yet. So my dad was, wise man, right? So he knows things about money that I don't know. And I want to learn how to become rich. And I was like, well, Dad, why? He said, well, see, son, I always had a goal to become a millionaire by the time I was 30. I was like, all right, I get that. What's a millionaire, right? Like, I'm 10 years old. Like, I don't know these things. Like my dad's telling me some stuff. I'm listening, right? I'm engaged. He's got an entrapped audience, right? I'm stuck in the van. Like it's not like I can go anywhere. I can't play with any toys. And he's got Dave Lindahl in the car. Hands to the camera if you understand. Like I'm stuck listening, right? All right. So now my dad's starting to engage me. And he says, like, I want to be a millionaire by 30. And I was like, okay, like, well, how old are you now? Like, Dad, how old are you? And he said, I'm 34. I said, well, did you make it? He said, no. I was like, well, why not? Why didn't you make it? Why weren't you a millionaire by 30? Like, what happened? He said, I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't understand how money worked. I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, well, does this guy know? Like, does this guy know how to make the money work? And he was like, well, I mean, he says he does, he's got this course, I paid the $1,000 for the course where he said, listen to the tapes in the van and I might learn how to do real estate. Hence the camera, if that sounds reasonable. It sounds like, okay, like my dad was on track. He was on the path. So my dad, after listening to this, me and him are listening, and like, I'm not learning a thing. I swear to God, Dave Lindahl's like, subject to seller financing, pick up properties, do these assignments, contracts. And I'm just like, I'm hanging out with my dad. That's all I remember is like, I was in my car with my dad and he used to talk about Dave Lindahl. Hence, if you understand, a 10-year-old kid's not going to understand any of this stuff. Like it was just right over my head, right? So fast forward, I'm 28, right? Now it's been 18 years. My dad's never bought a piece of property. 18 years have gone by since that moment in the van. I'm 28 years old and I've owned now 3 properties, right? I bought my first property at 22 because I knew my dad used to tell me ever since that tape series used to tell me, you got to buy real estate. The rich buy real estate. You got to buy real estate, son. The rich buy real estate. When I bought my first house, my dad was there every single day with me, grinding in the house. I bought a fixer-upper in 2008. By the way, don't buy houses in 2008. Who learned that lesson the hard way? Am I the only one? So like, I bought a house in 2008, my first house, and I'm scared. I'm terrified. But I watched HGTV like it was I was going out of style. Like it was like my school, right? Everything was HGTV for me. And I grew up with my dad doing all sorts of side jobs, roofing, plumbing. My uncle was a carpenter, so I learned how to install windows, doors. I was doing roofs with him and doing flooring. And so like I grew up with this hustle of like understanding like some things about real estate. And it turned out my grandfather was a landlord. So my dad used to say all these things like, if it doesn't pay you rent, get it out. My dad wasn't talking about like tenants. My dad was talking about emotions, right? Thoughts. He was saying like, if the thought is like negative, then don't give it any justice. Has anybody ever given bad thoughts justice and like realize it just made you feel sad? You give sad thoughts power and then you're like, oh, you feel sad. And you think you've given good thoughts power? Like you like meet a person, you trust them and you're like, oh my God, like this is actually a great relationship. Then you end up marrying them one day. Has anybody ever married somebody? And like it worked out, not the one that didn't work out. I'm talking about the one that did work out. You ever date somebody who's like really good for you? So So those situations, my dad would be like, okay, like those positive thoughts, they pay rent, right? They're keeping you going. They're keeping the machine running. And negative thoughts, they don't pay rent, right? So he said, if it doesn't pay rent, get it out. Just like your grandfather, because my grandfather owned a 4-family. Now, again, remember, we were poor. Like my grandfather was, rich, and me and my dad and my mom were poor because we lived in the 4-family, right? For like half the rent. Family discount. Who knows the family discount in real estate? Don't ever do that, by the way. Don't do the family discount. It hurts you and it hurts them. It keeps them weak, stops them from having to go push themselves. And I learned that the hard way, right? So there I am, and I'm learning all of this. I bought my first house. My dad helps me through it. I sell that house when I'm 30. Let's see, I bought it 22. I sold it at 26 because I had a situation cutting the grass. Anybody ever cut grass before? No, has anybody seen grass before? Like knows that shit grows all the time. Like during the summer, during the winter, you get like some time off, and then you shift over to shoveling. So here I am cutting the grass. I bought like a 1/4 acre. I was a 1/3 of an acre yard because I'm Portuguese. I was like, I gotta have my garden. I gotta have all my fruit trees. Man, I grabbed trees from like all my family and friends. I just started buying like grapevines and fruit trees and fig trees. And anybody who had like something that had fruit, I would plant it in my yard. So my yard became like an orchard. And then I had this big garden. And as I was going through life, I'm cutting my grass one day and it hits me. I'm the Lord of the land, right? I'm like the landlord, right? Who here knows, like, you're Lord of the land, you're the landlord. If you own the land, that makes you the Lord of the land, right? So I'm out there cutting the grass. I'm like, boom, it just hit me. Like, I'm a landlord. I'm a Lord of the land. Like, this is shit. I'm royalty. Come on, I did it, right? I'm rich. And then it also hit me, dude, I'm the Lord of frogs, crickets, worms, ants, and none of them are paying rent. And it like, I'm smiling now, but it hit me like in the pit of my stomach. I was just like, oh my God, I messed up. I'm driving an hour to Boston every day to go to work for a job that I can't stand. I'm working for Johnson & Johnson. And don't get me wrong, Johnson & Johnson's a great company to work for, but I'm not a great employee. And I couldn't stand being in the cubicle anymore. I was just like, man, I'm so sick of seeing this cubicle every single day. And this hour drive. And sometimes everybody who's driven into Boston knows it's an 1.5 hour commute sometimes. Sometimes in the snow, it's 2 hours. Anybody done those? I was tired of it, right? And I realized I'm the Lord of paying rent to the government that owns this house and the bank that owns this house. And I'm sitting here, I'm house rich, cash poor. I was cash flow poor. Right? Has anybody ever had that situation or knows that there's people out there who just have a house and like they're working for the house? I was literally working for the house, working for the cars. I was working for the house, and something in me snapped. I said, no more. I'm done. I started Googling. I went into the internet. I said, there's got to be a better way. I pulled out, I'm an accountant by trade. So I went and I pulled out a spreadsheet, right? I'm nerdy as hell. I was like, spreadsheet this thing. And I realized I'm not going to ever be a millionaire, right? The way I was going. See, because my dad had it in his head to hit it by 30. Here I am at 26. And I'm like, I don't see the option for me either. I was earning $40,000 a year, and I did the math, and it would take about 20 years. If I got a pay raise, got to 50, it would take me 20 years to become a millionaire. Hands scam, if you've ever done that math before, recognize maybe the path you're on is like not going to get you there. And this became like a real thing for me. Like, it was like a real problem. So I started Googling. I was like, how do people make money? Like in the past, I was just told work hard. So I just followed that up until I was 26 years old. I just followed that, didn't question it. But I started Googling, I started reading stuff, and I started like finding these people referencing this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Who's read the purple book? Who knows what I'm talking about? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Cash Flow Quadrant. So I'm reading all these websites. They're talking about this guy, Robert Kiyosaki, and you got to buy this real estate and you got to get cash flow. And then these same websites are talking about stocks, and I'm getting into stocks. I'm trading. Who here's done the stock market? Who's done trading on the stock market? Anybody considered it? All right. Played games in it, lost money in it. All right. So I start getting in. I'm like diving in. I'm day trading, and I get kicked off because you can't day trade, right? You can't day trade unless you got 25,000 in your account. Who's learned that one the hard way? Anybody? All right. So there's something for you. You can't day trade unless you got 25,000 in the account. So I was like, shoot, I guess I got to be super strategic. And then I discovered that I suck at day trading. Here's what my biggest win and my biggest loss at the same time. I bought Tesla at $20 a share, right? I bought Tesla at $20 a share. Here's this. Joe's already like, oh man. And here's where my biggest win was, right? In all stock trading, I sold at $68 a share, and I was like, woohoo! I won. Now, of course, that was in 2012. In 2022, I feel like the biggest fool on the planet. Hands to the camera if you know, if you own 1,000 shares of Tesla, you don't, and like, man, 1,000 shares of Tesla right now is game changing, right? Like before all the splits, because right now that would be almost 10,000 shares of, it would be 10,000 shares of Tesla. Hands to the camera if you know, you could retire on that. Anybody? All right. So, but I didn't know at the time. It looked like a good deal to me, right? Then the next week, I take all those profits and I roll them into J&J, Johnson & Johnson stock, and Johnson & Johnson stock goes from $120,000 down to 90,000, and I lose literally everything that I made. Who here knows that's how the stock market goes, right? If you don't know what you're doing, the stock market will eat you alive. So right after that, I said, man, like, there's got to be a better way than this. There's got to be some sort of system or some sort of better strategy for doing this. And I started reading again, and I kept hearing about this guy, Robert Kiyosaki. I kept hearing about this Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I kept, like, I did not read the book. Here's my biggest regret in life. I didn't read the book until I owned 2 properties. So I just want to say right now, anybody who's read it already, you were ahead of me. So I'm reading about it, and I'm learning about this investing thing. I find Bigger Pockets. Who's been on BP? Biggerpockets.com. Awesome. So I'm on BP. I start learning about cash flow. I start calling all the banks, right? Man, remember, this is like 2012. All the real estate around me is like rock bottom prices. My house is at a rock bottom price. Like the year before, 2 years before it was sold, it was at 280,000. When I bought it, it was 170,000. In 2012, this thing was valued at 150. And I was just looking around like, man, like, I'm out renovating, like I'm renovating the roof. I'm tearing apart the buildings. I've raised the ceilings of my house. I made everything brand new. If you could see it, touch it in the house, it was brand new by the time I was done, right? And I'm like fighting the market just to get the value back up to where I had bought the property at, where I thought was the discount. I bought it at $90,000 less than the guy before me. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something, right? My neighbor's house is $75,000 right now, $75,000, right? And I'm thinking, man, like if I could just buy this house, like I know I could rent it out and make a lot of money. Hands can if you're doing this math too, you're like, shoot, you can't go wrong at 75,000. Like this is no brainer. I'm thinking I can sell it and pimp it out and sell it for 150, right? I maybe double my money. So I start calling the banks. I'm like, yo, give me a loan. Like I got this. Remember the 3% down that I did before? Like hooked me up with the 3% down. And guys, I didn't have the 25% to do this deal, right? And I also didn't have me or another mentor to teach me how to do this deal with no money down. Because going back, I would have bought everything. If I go back to 2007, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, I would have bought absolutely everything that I saw within my market because I understand how to put capital together without having to question or even go to the banks. Hence the camera, if you know that power makes you unstoppable when the deals are everywhere. Well, back then, I didn't have 20,000 in my account. I couldn't do this deal. And it bothered me, right? It bothered me so much because I could see it. And it wasn't just that house. It was another house down the street and another house down the street. And it was like every block, every corner of every block had deals everywhere. You'd see the signs everywhere. And you go on MLS and like things were under $100,000. And I missed that opportunity. But I made a commitment to myself. I said, never again. I said, one day when the market turns, when the market corrects, I will be in a position to dominate the market. Hence the camera, if you know, I'm still going, right? 14 years later, I'm still in this business. I'm still here. I've learned a few things. That obsession with how to monetize a recession, how to build wealth when everything is turning blood red in the marketplace. Remember, when the market is red, be greedy. When the market is green, be fearful. So when everybody else is running out of the market, that's the point where we start taking ground. When everybody's flooding into the market like they have been these last few years, that's the part where we're maybe pulling a little bit out, we're selling, we're taking some risk off the table. And so these past, so what I ended up doing was they told me I can't buy another house as long as I own my house, owner occupied. So what I did is I sold my house. Now I was married. Here's a life lesson. If you read my book, Broke to a Quarter Million, don't do what I did. I ended up selling my house. The dream house, I made this thing beautiful. We sold it for $207. So we made a little bit of a profit from the $170 we paid for it. But of course, it cost me $28,000 to get there. And I did the math. I paid over $28,000 in mortgage payments over the years. So did I really make any money? And the answer is no. I actually lost money from owning the house, even though I sold it for more than I bought it for. But I did walk away with $38,000. And I took that $38,000 and I put it into a 3-family. And that 3-family I bought for $155,000. Because remember, this was 2012. And then 6 months later in 2013, I bought a 2-family right next door for $109,000. Now I had to put the 25% down, but I had it this time. I had the 25% down. I had $28,000 left from the money that I put into the first 3-family because I owner occupied it. And then I shifted and I started buying the next house. I was buying another house right down the street. And then I went through a divorce. Has anybody ever been through one of those before? Well, here's the lesson. Listen to your spouse. So when she's telling you, no, I don't want to own multifamilies. No, I don't want to sell my house. No, I don't want to move back to the city we both moved away from because I don't want to be around all those people anymore. Don't ignore that. That is good advice, right? She's talking about what she actually wants. And so that ended up leading to a divorce, which cost me everything that I had, except for the other half that she let me keep. Hence, if you know the math, I got to keep 50%. So, and I'm telling the story because this is a true real estate story. Like this is the sort of thing that people go through every day in real estate, learning this process of how to build wealth and how to get there. And in the end, like I was very depressed, right? I was ready to take my life. Truthfully, I was not feeling good about life. Yeah, I lost my job right before the divorce, and I literally quit my job because I wanted to focus on the relationship. I was focusing on my real estate investing. I had 25,000 saved in the bank, and 3 months later, I didn't have the 25,000. In fact, I was 25,000 in credit card debt because I had to pay back my wife for the properties. I ended up keeping the properties. I got very lucky there, and I had to wipe out my 401k. I had to borrow 15,000 from my family, my brother, my dad, and I ended up in deep credit card debt, just trying to figure out life. And I ended up getting my real estate license. And what's interesting is I'm not a salesperson. Well, I am now, but I wasn't then. I was an accountant. Has anybody ever considered an accountant in sales as like a terrible idea? Just absolutely terrible. Fortunately, like sales is learnable, right? And real estate is learnable. And all of these things that I didn't know anything about were very, very learnable. And I found good mentors and I found good coaches and I found people who knew what they were doing. And what I want to guide you through tonight is kind of a process to become recession proof. And I also want to share where the market is. And I want to share some of the things that I learned during that process while I was working with my coaches, working with my mentors. I joined some masterminds and I got myself around people who are successfully doing things that made them successful. Hands to the camera if it's all right if I share where I believe the market is right now. And if later on, I'm going to share with you how to become recession proof. I'm going to create an offer. It's a challenge that I've created that has been successful in building networks that bring in money and capital and deals. And I'm going to give you a pretty sick offer. Hence, Cam, if you like sick offers, you like good deals. Excellent. Remember, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. My claim to fame is no, I wasn't a millionaire by 30, but I was retired by 30. And I was a millionaire by 32. And I was a multimillionaire by 34, and now I'm 36. And I spend my time doing this. I spend my time teaching, building other millionaires, paying it forward, sharing, because that moment in that apartment where I was thinking about taking my life, I made a commitment. I said, once I figure it out, I swear, like I just told God, I was like, look, you put the people in front of me, I will teach them. If you give me an audience, if you give me a room, if you give me one person, I'll show them how to do it. If you just show me how to do it first, put that person in front of me. Put that knowledge in front of me and I'll implement it. And then I swear I'll go and I'll teach it. And a lot of times people, like I see it on Facebook all the time, like, dude, you're not retired. You're out there doing all these coaching calls. You're doing all these Zooms. My team knows it doesn't look like I'm retired. Like hands to camera, if you know, I was on Zoom calls from 10 o'clock today till right now. Like I've had 1 hour break all day. Hands to camera, if that doesn't sound like retirement to you. All right. Well, here's what I'll tell you. I tried gardening. It's not for me. So you decide what you do in your retirement. This is what I decided to do in my retirement. Hands to camera if that's all right. If you're glad I showed up tonight. Awesome. Thank you. It means a lot to me. It's nice to know that we're appreciated for doing what we're doing here. All right. So I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. I'm going to share with you what my belief is on the market right now. I've done some deep research. By the way, like this is not just like Google research. This is the stuff that I've pulled from millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires. Fortunately, I have a podcast, which gives me access to people who want attention, who are extremely successful. If you want access to the biggest syndicators in the country, start a syndication podcast. If you want access to the biggest multifamily investors in the country, start a multifamily podcast. So I started one called Alchemist Nation, which is a podcast towards building millionaires. And so every so often, I just decide I want to do it. I want to interview somebody. I let them know I'm going to put them on my podcast. Instacam, if that's clever as hell, great way to reach up to people. I've had Mark Victor Hansen. I've had Steve Sims. I've had Vinny Chopra. In fact, Vinny Chopra is now a close friend of mine. He came and spoke at one of my events this year. Vinny owns over $800 million worth of real estate. I've had Tim Bratz on my podcast. Tim owns over $1 billion worth of real estate. Like this podcast, I couldn't tell you, like, it's just changed my life. Like, been absolutely cool to be able to get this information. So I'm going to share with you comes from the top. It comes from people who know what they're talking about. This is not just like when you go on CNN and they're like, oh, you know, things look bad. This is the legitimate situation that we're experiencing right now. So let me know if you can see my screen. Answer the camera if you can see it. All right. So notice my prediction is from 2020 to 2030. Over the last 2 years, I've only had to update 2 slides, and those are the current real estate slides, right? So I go and I update like what the actual real estate market is actually doing. So interest rates, whereby show of hands, are they high? Are they going up or are they down? They're up. Yes. In fact, the Fed just today decided they're going up again by 75 basis points. So now a mortgage, a standard mortgage, is going to cost you 7.5 interest. Hands to the camera if that is thumbs up, if that is higher or lower. That is higher than last year, right? Significantly higher. It's over 2 points higher than last year. And what interest rates do to the economy, what they do to real estate is they bring prices down. Interest rates make affordability harder. So the cost of the same amount of building is much higher. So people buy real estate based on payments. So if the payments are costing more because of interest rates, the price of the property has to come down. But we haven't seen prices come down, have we yet? Nobody's seeing the prices drop. They're seeing the prices only keep going up. That's because of something called inflation. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then we got the economy. Is the economy up or is the economy down? It is down right now. If you look at the stock market over the last 6 months, it's been a down into the left. If you look at the crypto markets, it's been down into the left. And I'll give Bitcoin a little bit of credit. It's been just sideways, but it's been down into the left. And then I did some research on gold. I went and I know gold used to be the standard, right? When the stock market would drop, we would all shift over to gold because we were like, that's the hedge. Well, gold has also dropped over the last 6 months. It went from $2,000 per ounce down to $1,600 per ounce. This is in reverse of what it's supposed to do during an economic recession. Hands to the camera if you know something's wrong. In an inflationary market, gold is supposed to go up because it's considered an asset, but it's acting more like a currency. It's going down in value just like the dollar, just like the stock market, and just like crypto. So the economy is very interesting. Government policies. Who remembers COVID happening and the government was like, you know what? Don't pay rent. We're good. In fact, don't even pay your mortgage. We got you. And there was all sorts of things that the government went up and did, and they end up throwing so much money. They threw in $3 trillion. They literally doubled the money supply over 2 years. Who knows? The government policies can have a big impact on real estate. There was some shakeup. There were some scares. We were concerned that they were going to take the 1031 exchange away from us. That would have had a monstrous impact on the real estate market. Fortunately, they still have the 1031 exchange, but they are changing some of the things that we do with our with capturing depreciation. So there's some challenges with when you take over a multifamily property. We use something called I hope I can come up with it. Yeah, because of the D, where we depreciate everything all at once. You know what I'm talking about, Kelly? You got it. You know exactly what I'm saying.
Cost segregation.
Cost segregation. Thank you, Doreen. Let's give the Russian princess a round of applause. Cost seg. So they've changed the bonus depreciation for cost segregation. All right, let's give the girls a round of applause. They know what they're talking about. It was on the tip of my tongue. So the government just agreed to change the cost segregation bonus depreciation they put into when COVID started. Now they're going to be phasing it out over the next 5 years. So that's going to have an impact on the real estate market. So government policies do have an impact. If you want to really see government impact, government policies having an impact on real estate, go out to China. You go out to China and look at what they've done to their real estate market. Is absolutely destroyed right now because of a couple policies they changed. And that impact is going to have a monstrous effect on the United States. Because remember, a lot of foreign money bought real estate here in the U.S. In fact, Boston is a lot of foreign money. Hence, Cam, if you've seen that before, you've looked around, you notice some foreign investors, right? Well, they're going to be pulling out. They're going to have some challenges because of the money they're losing over in China. Technology changes things. We've seen it faster and faster ever since, like, I remember being a kid and not having these. Who here remembers being a kid and not having this technology, right? There's now, like, I can't even find a customer service representative anymore. Like, I call, like, for customer service and they're like, press 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 for the next menu. Right? And it's changing the way we do things. It's also changed the way property management's done. It's changed the way real estate is viewed. You can now see real estate from anywhere in the country. So the real estate has become a global marketplace. It's no longer localized based on who printed out a flyer for you in the market. Like, you don't just go in and ask your realtor, hey, what's the listings from today? And scan, if you remember how, like, the old days where MLS was like printed out. Anybody remember those? We're now in a space where you just go online, click, schedule an appointment, you can go see a piece of property. You can now get loans online, right? We do loans right online. For Alchemist Financial, they're just like, boom, money sent, like, or at least pre-approval sent. Before, you used to have a special relationship with the bank. Like, you used to have to know somebody. The technology is changing this game. And then bigger pockets. How about that? Like, everybody now understands real estate. Hence, Cam, if you understand real estate because of BP, bigger pockets. What about us connecting right now? We're connecting. I'm in Florida and you're getting education in Boston because of the internet, because of Zoom, because of all these technologies. This is speeding up the game. It's creating more and more competition. Who's seen that already? It's like everybody knows something about real estate now. Everybody's a freaking wholesaler. Everybody's a genius when it comes to, I know Burr, I BRRR. By my mentor cannot stand that. Like, when he was on Bigger Pockets for the first time, it was like 2 years ago. He's like, the hell is this Burr thing? I was like, well, it means buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. He's like, yeah, no shit. That's just real estate investing. I was like, well, I didn't quite know that before they made the acronym. So everybody can relate. Like, some of these guys have been in it before the internet. And so they grew just based on relationships, just on like who knew them. And like, now with the technology, we're able to like learn and like speed this process up so much faster. Institutional investors are buying more real estate now than they have ever purchased in the entire history of real estate investing. See, Warren Buffett made this comment about a decade or two ago during the recession. He said, if I could buy 1,000 single family homes, I would. He's like, if there was a way for me to buy 1,000 single family homes at a time, that's exactly what I would do right now. And there wasn't at the time. But with technology, suddenly you can now buy 1,000 single family homes at a time. Who's seen some of these crowdfunding software platforms where it's just like, you can just go in and you can add your money to it. You could get acquisitions of property. We're seeing now Open Door. We're seeing BlackRock, Blue Rock. We're seeing all these different institutional investors just buying up single family homes. They're buying them up. They're buying mobile homes. They're just buying real estate by like the thousands of units at a time. And what we've seen this past year is institutional investors made up 25% of all single family home purchases. I want you to sit there and think about that for a moment. Institutional investors, these are not stupid people. These are not even average people. These are not even smart people. These are the richest people on the planet. These are hedge funds. They are buying real estate. This past year, they bought a quarter of all the real estate purchased in the country. Hands to the camera if that's a sign. It absolutely is. And if you look at the stock market and you look at the crypto market and you look at gold right now and you look at real estate and you compare it, they made the right move, didn't they? They shifted into an asset that is appreciating, that is going up while all the other assets are getting hurt. So it's something to keep an eye on. Labor shortage. Do we have a labor shortage? Yes or no? Does anybody actually know? We have a weird situation. We have a labor shortage in certain jobs, and then we have a surplus of jobs that people aren't skilled for. Like we don't have a lot of unemployment. We just have a lot of people who are unemployed because they don't know the skills of the things that it's like we need. We have these jobs, and people aren't taking them. So like people wonder why this is happening, why there are so many like companies and employers looking for jobs, looking for employees, and then why there are so many people who are unemployed. Well, the challenge is that they don't have the right skills. So we don't have a labor shortage. We have a skill shortage. We just have a transfer of knowledge that needs to happen. And that's probably going to happen over the next 5 years to 10 years. People are going to have to be retrained. Companies are going to have to reinvest. And unfortunately, what's happening is companies are not reinvesting in their people. It's much cheaper just to go and find somebody who already has those skills. Hence, Karen, if you'd probably do the same thing. If it costs you a lot of money to go and train somebody, when you can just hire somebody who knows what they're doing on day one, it makes a lot of sense. Especially if this other person you're paying them more, and this new person you're paying them less. So corporations are just transferring people out, not because they don't care about their people, just because they care about the bottom line. And with the stock market down, they have to worry about how they're making their money. Hence, if you understand, corporations have to operate this way. They have stockholders that own their companies. Migratory patterns. Let's dive into the real estate stuff. Let's get back into it. So real estate is based on location, where people live and where they're moving to. So on this chart, you can see that there are certain states that are driving more and more traffic in. The yellow and the blue both represent how many people are, the blue are percentages of increase, and then the yellow are actual population increase. So yeah, you see North Dakota's got a percentage growth. That's because there was nobody there before, and like one person moved in. That creates a monstrous percentage increase. And so, if you understand that, it's like, whatever. There's like 6,000 people in the whole state. So if 6,000 people move in, it's like doubled its population. So outbound locations. These are important to recognize. You might not want to invest in a place that everybody is leaving, because that means less demand on the real estate for now. This may turn over, and at some point there are going to be some really good deals. But if you look at those states, those are all the very expensive states except for Illinois. I don't quite understand that one. I'd have to dig a little deeper into it. Hence, if this is good information, though, recognizing which states people are leaving out of, absolutely. Top inbound states. Now, this is by percentage, which is why South Dakota gets a percentage, Idaho, Oregon, Arizona, South Carolina. The biggest state that people are moving into is Florida. They're moving into Florida, and then the second biggest state people are moving into is Texas. But if you look at percentage changes, that's what these 5 are. It's very important to recognize that prices will skyrocket in an area that is getting a high percentage of increase, because the demand was low there previously. Now demand is becoming high. Demographics. This is where it gets a little interesting. So this is where you really start to realize why we're in a recession and what's about to happen. This is not the end of the recession, and this is not, this is just kind of the beginning. There's a lot more to come, and I want you to be very aware and capable of handling it as it comes through. So home ownership rate. When we talk about demographics, we're talking about who like a group of people. And I'm going to talk about the biggest generations, because they are the biggest groups of people. Who's heard of the baby boom generation? Knows what they are. Then you got Gen X, which is the generation that came after them. And you got the millennials, which everybody just talks shit about the millennials. Just so you know, I am technically on the outer skirts of a millennial at 36. That makes me just on the outer skirts. So please hold your judgment, unless you're richer than me, in which case you have all rights to figure it out. Just be like, yeah, fine. So what we noticed is that 65 years and older are holding, like 79% of them are holding real estate. When you look at 55 to 64 years old, 75% of them are holding real estate. Now, all ages, 65% of the population holds real estate. The other 35% are renters. That number is increasing. More and more renters are becoming, like the population is just shifting over to a renter population. And if you look at the age group that is holding real estate, you're talking about the biggest generation right here, the baby boom generation. They are holding a large majority of the real estate, followed by the Gen X. And then the millennials are like, most millennials just aren't holding real estate. I think I hold more real estate than all the other millennials. So only 38% of millennials hold real estate. About 62% of the Gen X, 62% of Gen X is holding real estate. And then baby boom generation is holding 75 to 79% are holding real estate. Hands to the camera if you recognize those old folks are really loving that real estate. They're holding on to it. It's part of their generation. And these young kids probably can't even afford a house right now at the rates that they are at. The reason this is important is because these generations have an impact. When a large generation moves into something or moves out of something, it's going to impact the entire market. So the baby boomers were born between 1946 to 1964. That makes them between 57 and 75 years old. They make up, look at this number, 71.6 million in the US. And remember, 75% of them are owning real estate right now. And then the Gen X, they were born between 1965 and 1979 to 80, and they're currently between 41 to 56 years old. And remember, 65 million people are currently, they only hold about 65% of them are holding real estate. Now, when we think about why is the market so hot, think about the two big generations that are holding real estate right now. They're at that point, right? Who here's noticed like real estate's still hot, even with interest rates going up? It's because these two monster generations are holding on to this asset class. Then you've got Gen Y, or the millennials. They were born between 1981 and 1994/6. I was born in 1986. So I guess I'm like right in there. I can't even escape it. I can't say like I was born in 1982 or something. Like I'm definitely in the millennial phase. So they're between 20, let me go back. They're between 25 and 40, but they're bigger than the baby boom generation. Now, what's interesting is they do own 25% of real estate because the average human being, these are important stats, demographic stats for you to know. And I don't have a slide for this, but the average person in America buys their first house at 36 years old. Write this down because I didn't put it in the slides. The average person buys their first house at 36 years old. When you look at the age of the millennials, you recognize that they're getting in the middle of millennial purchasing power. They're right there at that point where they're starting to buy their first home. When you look at the age of the Gen X's, now it's important to also recognize the 7-year itch. Who's heard of the 7-year itch? Knows what it is? Has nothing to do with your marriage. In real estate, the 7-year itch is you own your house for 7 years, you get rid of it. You're tired of that house. You need the bigger house. House number 2, right? Because you get the kids. The kids are bigger. They're fighting with each other. They need their own rooms, right? Then the other kid comes along. And then here's what happens. They move out. And then they move back. They move back in with their kids again. So every 7 years, a person is rotating up, rotating up, rotating up. They find the first house, then they get the second house, and they get the third bigger house, and then they start downsizing and going in reverse. But unfortunately, Gen X has not had the opportunity to go in reverse because they've been taking care of their kids. These millennials don't seem to leave. Hence, care if you know somebody like that. Yeah, hence, care if you got one in your house. Hence, care if you are one. All right, so there's a situation where they need now to hold more real estate because there's this generational demographic shift is forcing everybody to hold. And the millennials are just coming into the marketplace. And the next slide is a little bit, I hate to talk about death, but shit, death is a part of the cycle. So the average American dies at 78. Now, with COVID, that changed a little bit. We noticed a little drop down in the average death age. And so in America, if I go back to the baby boom generation, the ages, notice we're not quite there yet. And by the way, I pulled this data 2 years ago, so now they're 77. But 77 is 1 year away from this largest generation to start passing away. And when they start passing away, they're going to start passing away their property. They're going to start letting it go. And this is what creates a drop off in the values of real estate. This is where the drop off of value in real estate starts happening, is when this larger generation starts passing away. Now, I know nobody wants to think about their family dying, but who here knows somebody who's in their 70s probably won't be here to see their 90s. There's a good chance that they're going to, in the next 7 to 10 years, not be here anymore. When they let go of their real estate, it ends up in places like probate, like Duncan was talking about earlier, those probate lists. It ends up in their family's hands, and then the family doesn't want it because, remember, renter generation. This is a renter nation. So these millennials aren't buying real estate. They're just getting rid of it. So you're going to see a glut on the market. Also, it comes at a time where we've got a bunch of foreclosures because COVID slowed everything down. So we've got this pinch coming into the marketplace that we're going to see probably start showing its head sometimes in 2023, but there's a good chance we won't really see it until 2025. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Before I do, this is something we call the market cycle. This isn't just real estate. This is in absolutely anything, every investment, every movement, every cultural shift, anything that you can think of has a market cycle. In the beginning, there's optimism. And in the middle, there's excitement, euphoria. This is at the very beginning. And after euphoria, there is denial. Then there's fear. Then there's panic. Then there's depression. By the way, we like to buy when everybody's depressed. We want to write checks when everybody's depressed, make them smile. And then there's hope and optimism is followed by excitement, euphoria, denial, fear, panic, and depression. So what have we learned from this chart? We want to sell in euphoria and we want to buy in depression. Hands to camera if you agree. Buy low, sell high. Simple math. But how do you know where we are? How do you know where we are in the cycle unless you start doing some statistical research like the stuff we're doing today? So about 2 years ago when I created this, I thought we might be in excitement. Who feels like it's been pretty exciting times in real estate these last 2 years? Yeah, it seems, yeah, it's been pretty exciting. So I did some research and I confirmed that there's something called the 18-year real estate cycle. This is proven over multifamilies for a long period of time. And a lot of investors will say it's a 7-year cycle or a 14-year cycle. But the truth is, it's actually a full 18-year cycle all the way through. Yes, there's 7 years of a rise with a little shakeup, and then another 7 years rise with a 4-year decline. So a lot of investors have mistimed this because they've been talking about this 7-year cycle, this 14-year cycle. In fact, everybody on this call, who's heard of a 14-year cycle in real estate or a 7-year cycle in real estate? Absolutely. So if you've been in it long enough, you've heard one of those fallacies. It's not really 7 or 14. It's what it is it's 18. It's the 7 plus the 4-year drop. And you can actually go back and check out the records over the years. Now, if you've ever studied the stock market, you'll recognize this cycle right here as an M. We call M's murder. They stand for murder. It means anytime you see an M, you're going to see a drop. So it's a spike, followed by a valley, followed by another spike, which leads to a deeper valley. After that, you have a W. So you see the valley caused by a second valley always leads up into a higher point in the market. That's called a win. So the W stands for win, means up. M stands for murder, means down. What we have after a large bull run with a little correction here is a monstrous drop called a correction. Or this is, it's healthy. It's just considered a healthy part of the marketplace. Hence, if you know you go too hot for too long, you're gonna hit the sun. You gotta come back down and cool it off. So it's natural. It's normal. This is updated data of the real estate prices right now. When you look at this chart, doesn't that look like something we just looked at recently? It's got this interesting up and to the right with a little jiggle down with another up and to the right. And this spike over here, this is what interests me the most. This is the part that I was looking for this for years. I was waiting for this uncontrolled just launch into the sky that signals a drop. When things get too good, we see something on the other side of this. Hands to the camera if you're getting excited right now. If you're a real estate investor thinking, oh my God, this could be my opportunity. I agree with you. I feel the same way. So I updated the chart and I said, let me take a look at what happened between 2011, 2012, which I believe was the bottom, because ask me how I know. I sold my house at the bottom. I bought on the way down and then sold at the bottom, and then started buying real estate, multifamily real estate, all the way along this chart. So I've gotten very, very rich, not because I'm smart, just because I bought during the best 7 years to be buying real estate. Now, in 2019, we had something called COVID. Who remembers COVID? And COVID created some weird stuff. Now, COVID should have brought us down a little bit, but it didn't, because the government went and threw money into the marketplace. So it should have brought us down, but instead it launched us even further up. And so we didn't quite follow the cycle we were supposed to. Instead, we have an inflated bubble without any kind of correction to slow us down. So we're going even hotter, even faster than we should have. Now, this continues along, and I see us at a 25, 26 market peak. Who here knows it doesn't feel like it feels like it should happen right now? Who feels that? Like, it's like, man, like this doesn't seem accurate. That's because the Fed is doing their very best to make it happen sooner. The Fed is doing their very best, increasing interest rates to not let it get to this crazy level of inflation. But I don't think that anything they can do that they're doing right now is going to have an impact. I don't think that they can actually slow this thing down hard enough, fast enough in order to get us to slow down at this point because of the generations that have to hold real estate right now. Hence, Cameron, if you remember the charts we were looking at a little while ago, the baby boom generation is still holding. It doesn't matter what the Fed does. It does not matter what they do with interest rates. They can't change the prices because they can't increase the supply. because the biggest generations can't let it go. Hence, if you understand, if there's no demand, if there's no supply, demand continues to rise. As millennials are aging up and starting to buy real estate, and the baby boom and the X generation are holding on to real estate, prices will continue to increase regardless of the interest rates, which is very interesting. So when we talk about studies, I like to go back to older times. You know, the 1980 is where people tell me like, yo, you got to go look at 1980 for interest rates. Forget interest rates. They are irrelevant. They don't matter. It is the inflation rate that you want to be paying attention to. That's what's having an impact in the market right now. So you got to go back to the 1980s. In the 1980s, World War II put nations in fear and caused massive government spending, which led to massive inflation. New technologies with computers, nuclear power, jet propulsion. The average real estate house was $3,000, and then 10 years later it was $8,000. Hence the camera if you'd like to buy real estate in the 1940s, right? Holy shit, imagine that. So this is an inflation chart. Inflation for the 1940s looks a lot like inflation we're experiencing right now. This was a government spending. Government put a whole bunch of money into the economy, which they just did. And this is what happened a year later. The government just, the inflation started skyrocketing. Hence, if you recognize when the government does things, it creates inflation. When they put money into the market, this is what we see. So we're actually seeing very similar charts. And now we look at 2019, 2022, the pandemic put nations in fear and caused massive government spending, which led to massive inflation. Very similar. We have new technology. We have robotics, electronic cars, battery technology, genomics, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence. The technology change is almost even more impressive than it was back in the 40s. Also, fun fact, Velcro was discovered in the 1940s. I know, mind blown. I watched a Star Trek episode where the Vulcans actually claim, they actually claim having created Velcro. So 1940s alien landing, who knows? Real estate prices in 2012 were $278,000 across the country. And in 2022, this was the major cities. In 2022, they went to $525,000. Hands to the cam, if you recognize, that's a big jump for a short period of time, a lot like the 1940s. So where are home prices going? I'm pretty certain that that point right there implies that we might no longer be in excitement and we might actually be closer to euphoria, which means the market is something we haven't seen for nearly 100 years. The market that we're about to dive into is something that hasn't happened in over 80 years. Hands to the camera if you'd like to know, like you recognize that's a big problem because we're all gauging stuff off of 2012. So that like this, everybody's like, oh man, in 2008 this happened, so they're preparing for a 2008 crash. But it will not be a 2008 crash. That is a big, giant problem if you're preparing for something that is not going to happen. Hence, if you see that as a challenge. Excellent. All right. I see some head nods. The solution. You must become recession-proof through the right knowledge. You must become recession-proof through investing the right way. In the 1940s, people invested very differently than they did in 2012, in 2015. The solution I learned from my mentors. I learned from the guys who were around back in the 1940s. I've studied their strategies. I've studied the guys who built their wealth during that time. And what I've created is something I call the recession-proof challenge. And the recession-proof challenge is based on the skill sets that are required. It is your network, it is your net worth, and it is the right knowledge to invest properly during this market. So it's a challenge that only lasts 21 days. So in 21 days, we push you through it. And at the end of the challenge, you now have a database, a network, and access to deal flow and capital. Hands to the camera if you'd like to learn more about the challenge, if it sounds like something you'd be interested in. So, and it's fun, by the way. It is actually fun to learn how to buy real estate without using any of your own money and without having to go and hunt for deals. The deals come to you. So step one, we're going to go through in the RPC is the strategy. We talk about the value of your network. Your net worth is your network. Who's heard that before? It's all about who you know. Well, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. And that's a mantra that I follow all the way through in the 21 days. It's getting more people to know you. And I'm not talking about social media, although that's a great tool and I've used it. It's really about those relationships. Like, do people have you in their phone? Do they have you in their phone? And are they reaching out to you for the thing that you provide, which is finding the deals or managing deals? Or in some cases, giving you the money. They need somebody to invest their money in. So the strategy we're going to walk you through in the 21-day challenge is reaching out to the right contacts. We're going to identify who has what you want and then reaching out to them. I talk about something called Dunbar's number. Has anybody heard of Dunbar's number? Knows what it is? Anybody? All right, Dorina knows what Dunbar's number is, of course. So the Russian princess lives with me. She's heard me talk about this a dozen times. Dunbar's number is the amount of people you can have in your head, the amount of relationships you can remember. There's 150. That's what Dunbar's number says. You can only remember about 150 people. Hands can if you know, you might even have less than that, right? Anybody? So it's about 150 relationships. Now, the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle. Who's familiar with Pareto's principle, 80-20? What it basically says is that 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. So when we look at our Dunbar's number, the amount of relationships we can have at one given time, I like to do the 80-20 principle to that. So I want to know who my most powerful relationships are. Who are the people who are giving me the most return on investment? That gives me 30 people. If you think about your life, there's probably 30 people that you talk to every week or every month that are either you work with them or they're family members, but they're the ones that are having an impact in your life. But I'd like to take the 80-20 a little deeper. Who knows? I'm part of the 1%, right? My net worth is up there. My income is up there. So I want to go and see the 80. So let me tell you what that is, by the way. 80%, 80-20. If you go in 80-20 that, you get 4 and 96. And then if you 80-20 that again, you get 1% and 99%. Who's heard that 1% own 50% of the wealth in this country? All right. So I was like, what's the 80-20 of the 80-20, right? So if 80-20 of your relationships is 30, if you're 150 relationships, 80-20 is 30, 80-20 to the 30 is 6. Who's heard that you are the average of your 5 closest friends? Excellent. So Dunbar's number, when 80-20 to 80-20 gives you that 6. Now your ego, yourself, is one of them. So you're in a relationship with yourself, right? Your ego. And then the other 5 people have an impact on your life. By changing the people you're speaking with, you change your net worth, you change your income, you change your access to deals, and change your access to capital. Who here knows that you got a lot of broke friends? There's a lot of people who just don't have money, don't have deals that they're going to give you ever. It's like a lot. That's what we changed in the Recession Proof Challenge. That's what I discovered was my secret to becoming a millionaire, multimillionaire. It was changing the people I was spending my time with. It was changing the people I took advice from. It was changing the people that I worked with. I had to change everything about those 30 people. And I had to change everything. I had to absolutely manufacture the 5 people I wanted to spend time with. Hands to the camera if you recognize this is probably a winning strategy. It's probably the only strategy you ever have to learn. And most people will ignore it because it's not obvious, right? Even growing up, you got kids, you're like, don't let them hang around the bad kids, because you know what happens when you hang around bad kids. You happen to do bad things. Hands to the camera if you would do that with your kids. Don't let them hang around the troublemakers, right? And if their kids are a good influence, you're like, oh my God, I want my kids hanging out with them, right? Good influence, good opportunity. If we know this logically, to our core, we'll not put our kids around bad kids and we'll only put our kids around good kids. What about ourselves? So step 1, the strategy is to get yourself around the right people. And I'm going to show you how to find them, how to build relationships with them, even if you don't feel like you're on their level. Because by the way, I didn't feel like I was on their level when I started this. I certainly did not. Even sometimes when I'm reaching up to billionaires, I'm like, man, I hope they don't catch on that, I'm not a billionaire yet, but I'm on my way. Let's go. Hence the camera, if you can have that kind of belief in yourself, you can just just be like, whatever. I'm gonna go talk to them, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna be the coolest person they ever met, even though I'm just who I am. And I'm gonna accept them the way they are, and hopefully they'll accept me the way I am. Is that cool? If we go into this conversation like that, all right, cool. So step 1, that's the strategy. So I'll show you how to reach out to those people, who they are. Step 2 is the tactics. I go into the details in the Recession Proof Challenge of how to actually speak to people who you want to be around, who you want to work with, who you want to invest with you, who you want to invest with, who you want to be able to bring value to. Who's heard value add, right? In this business, so you got to add value. Have you heard that in real estate? Yeah. I'm going to show you the tactics to actually be valuable to people who can be even more valuable to you. And those tactics vary from how to speak, what to deliver, where you find a person will actually have a lot to do with what tactics you utilize in servicing them and going to that next level. Number 3, implementation. So over the 21 days, I hate the idea of going to courses and then you have all that knowledge and you don't do anything. We call that shelf help. Has anybody experienced shelf help before? Right? You got a bookshelf with all those programs you went through and then never did anything with it. Or I've read over 400 books, but the difference between me and the average person, and I'm going to train you to do the same thing, is I implement everything in a book. As soon as a book inspires me, I text my team and that thing gets implemented. Darina is on my team. She sees it every day. Darina, wave, the Russian princess, she's gorgeous. So she's also my spouse. We live together, but she knows, like, if I get an idea, everybody knows about it in the team who it matters to. I'm implementing the moment I've read something or seen something. So in the challenge, I'm actually going to give you action steps every day. Who's watched Mission Impossible before? Has heard of the movie, like this mission will this message will self-destruct, right? So we do that in the missions. Like every day I'm going to send you an email with a quick mission and a little video that explains how to do it. And I say it at the end of the mission. I'm like, yo, this message will not self-destruct, but your business might if you don't take action. And so that's like the message I send out every single day. It's one of the missions that you implement that day. And then later on at 1 o'clock, I jump on a call with you and we do questions and answers. Any challenges that are coming up with the implementation of the mission of reaching out, or how you said something, or finding the right people, or finding your avatar. And in those conversion conversations, we just do a quick Q&A session to make sure you have access to me and any of my recession proof consultants, and they'll help you out through the process. Hands to the camera if you know it helps to have some help along the way, if you know you're not in this alone. The other benefit to it is it's the community, it's the tribe you start getting around. If you're around a bunch of hustlers who are becoming recession proof, who are building relationships, or building tribe, who are building community, there's a good chance you're going to want to do it. Cesar Millan has this thing called the pack, right? Who's ever watched Cesar Millan? He's the dog whisperer. I'm a big fan of like training dogs, because I feel like, the human mind is very similar. Like if we can understand like why kids operate the way they do and dogs operate the way they do, we can figure out why adults operate the way that we do, right? Has anybody ever done a childish thing as an adult? Like done something that was like, man, like, ooh. Well, it's because we have something called the limbic system, and it's just like emotional, and it's like it just does things. Well, we can actually use those flaws. We could look at them as flaws, but we can use them to our advantage. So Cesar Millan, what he does is if a dog is really beyond his control, he just can't get them under control, he'll bring them back to his pack. Now, the pack is a series of dogs that have already been trained and they've been integrated. So this dog starts acting and behaving like the pack, even though it's been a crazy wild dog around these, we'll call them high net worth individual dogs. He starts behaving better and starts following the rules. And then he doesn't bite kids anymore. Then he doesn't bark at neighbors anymore. And the dog starts getting under control. Hence the camp, if you understand, if you surround yourself with champions who are growing, hustling, and doing well, you'll start growing, hustling, and doing well. It's just the energy. It's the energy of a tribe. So implementation. The Recession Proof Challenge, like I said, step 1, strategy. Step 2, tactics. Step 3, implementation. We do this with you over 21 days. Who here doesn't want to spend a year learning this process, would rather do it in less than a month? They say 21 days to habit. So we're going to spend 21 days building the right habits so you can build the right network and get access to capital and get access to deals. And I'm going to do it for a pretty sweet deal. I'm going to throw in these bonuses. See the bonuses in there? I'm going to toss in a ticket to next year's 100 Millionaire Summit. And if you're a member of the Boston REIA, you're also going to get access to my Recession Proof Real Estate Conference, where I'll be speaking, where some of my other millionaire friends will be speaking, some of our team members will be speaking and sharing how you become successful in this game. Now, you look at that number, that's over $3,000 in value. Well, just under $3,000 value. Who's done the math? It's like $2,600. Hands to camera if that's a lot of money to just learn how to become recession proof. Anybody feel like it's a lot of money? Who here knows like that's not a lot of money if you're looking to become a millionaire? It's not that bad, right? So let me at this point slow down a little bit and say, I think that's a really good deal. But I also think that you're thinking that I might think that maybe I could bring the price down. Has anybody thought that already? Been on these Zoom calls before? There might be an opportunity. I'm just going to hold my cup right here and sip for a second. Remember, I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires. I got to know the skin in the game. I got to know you want it, right?
But wait, there's more.
All right, let me dive into the bonuses. But wait, there's more. Bonus number 1, you're going to get a free ticket to the 100 Millionaire Summit. This ticket is this is outpriced now. So our summit is 2023 now. We just finished it 2 weeks ago, and the value then was $494. I'm going to say the value now is $997 because we had over 200 people in the room. 50 of them were millionaires. Hands to the camera if you'd like to be in a room where 25% of the room are millionaires. You might accidentally rub shoulders with one and learn a thing or two. This was one of the biggest things I heard at the event, was that people were like, oh my God, millionaires are just like me. Like, no kidding, they are. They're just normal people. Like, we just made money. That's all it is. Like, we're walking around. We happen to know, like, we own a couple buildings, right? We own a couple businesses, like whatever. It's just we got more cash flow. I'm not worried about money. Like, that's the thing. We don't look at the right side of the menu when we order. We look at the left side of the menu. We're like, what's, I don't look at the price. I look at the menu itself. Hands to the camera if you like that lifestyle, right? Hanging out with millionaires, learning from millionaires. And then I had a billionaire on the stage. 3 of us have net worths that are 4 of us had net worths that are over $5 million on stage. One had 15 million, one had 20 million, and one had $200 million net worth. Hands to the camera if you get a lot of education from a group like this. And it's a small room. Last year was only 200 people in the room. This year it's probably going to be somewhere around 400, 500 people. You can connect. And by the way, 30 of those millionaires I built personally through my programs. I maintain relationships with my millionaires. I make sure that they're there at the events to share with you. By the way, every millionaire I've ever built, I've said this to them for at least 3 years, or at least minimum 1 year. I've said, I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. And what I ask is, when I make you a millionaire, that you promise to pay it forward. And every single one of them has always said yes. If they ever said no, I just cut them. Like, I don't need to work with somebody who's not going to go pay it forward. Hands to camera if you only work with good people who pay it forward to other people. Absolutely. That's it. You can design your business however you want. And I chose to make a business that continues to pay it forward after I'm gone. Long after I'm gone, people will still be out there serving each other. Bonus number 2, you got to get the free 3-week 5-day challenge. This is a 5-day challenge I used to do for $97. And this was essentially the Recession Proof challenge, like more condensed. I found that the 5-day challenge wasn't long enough to get people to go and take action. Oh, shoot, I'm not sharing my screen. Come on now. Come on. This is so cool. The things slide in, slide out. All right, let's give Doreen a big round of applause catching that I'm not sharing the screen. I apologize. Bonus 1 ticket to the 100 Millionaire Summit 2023. Bonus 2, see it slides in like that. Bonus 2, pre-week, 5-week, pre-week 5-day challenge. So in that, we're going to talk about what we do in the Recession Proof Challenge. You're going to get access to that right away. It starts today. As soon as you sign up, you get access to this now. The challenge doesn't start till the 7th. So you got a few days to go through the pre-week challenge, kind of get your mind right, just figure out like what we're going to be doing. If you don't want to go through it, I don't care. It does not matter. I'm going to go through it in the 21 days. Hands to the camera if that's all right. You can jump in, you kind of get a taste of what we're doing, but the real meat and potatoes starts on the 7th. So register now, get access to the pre-week challenge, get your mind right, like figure it out. I'm going to give you that away for free. And this is what it looks like. So this is what we're going to be doing inside the 5-day challenge. This is free. You start this immediately. I'm giving this as a bonus for everybody who signs up tonight. The Recession Proof Challenge is not going to be $2,600. Tonight, for everybody who signs up, it's going to be $100. In fact, it'll be less than $100. Don't tell me. But hold on. Let me say this because it's funny this way. Who here knows that I'm bald? Who's it noticed? I don't have any hair on my head. Like, all right. So you can tell me you don't like my hair. You can tell me you don't like my beard, but don't tell me you don't have $97 to learn how to become a millionaire and surround yourself with the right people. This is the link. It's on your screen right now. And Dorina, if you don't mind, can you copy and paste this link, drop it in the chat? Oh my God, she's amazing. Click the link now, register at this very moment. If you have $97 in the bank, if you have $97 on a credit card, if your kids have $97, go beg your kids right now to take action so you can jump into this Recession Proof Challenge. Because if you are not recession proof, I promise the gap is widening. On the other side of the gap is poverty, and anything that if you think you're at the bottom now, just wait until this inflation eats away at more and more of your income. Your boss is not giving you a 9% increase, but inflation is taking away 9% of your purchasing power every single year. Your boss is not going to go and give you another 9% increase next year. So that's 2 years. If you don't jump in this and figure out how to get on the other side of the wealth gap, you're 18% behind. Hands to the camera if you know milk's going to get really freaking expensive. Oil, gas, food, like just your house, like your rent is going to keep going up. Your mortgage payments are going to keep going up. Like, this is not the sort of thing that you take lightly. The recession is not going to leave people okay. The recession is going to create poverty for a lot of different people. But there are the few who are on this call who pay attention, who can not just help themselves, but help their family. You learning this process allows you to go and serve your family and give them that information and protect them. Because I was in the same boat as you. I had the opportunity. I knew the wealth gap was growing. Back in 2008, I was 22 years old. I knew the wealth gap was going. I was scared then. I'm terrified now. Not for me, but for everybody else, which is why I still hustle. This is why I'm out here teaching. It's why I'm sharing this information. That's why I'm giving it away. I'm practically giving it away at $97. And I'm telling you, when I say $97 is giving it away, you'll see once you're through the program. I've been told this thing is worth $10,000. I've made people $10,000 in the 30 days. I'm not saying you'll be one of them, but I'm telling you that once you come through this, you will thank me for setting you up with it, because it's an opportunity to change your, not just your life, but the trajectory of your entire family. And I remember sitting there thinking, man, like the wealth gap is a legitimate thing, and this wealth gap is growing. And if I don't get across and I don't send the rope across to other people, then I'll forever be stuck on this side. And if I get across and I don't send the rope over it, I'm a jackass, right? That's unethical. Hence the cam, if you agree. If I like come back and be like, yo, this is how you get over, like that wouldn't be nice. So, yeah, I implore you to trust me on this. It is possible to become wealthy. I'm not the only one who's done it. Normally on these, I'll do testimonials. I've got some of my business partners in here. Darina's a millionaire. Darina, she built wealth herself through real estate without me. She's been dating me for 2 years, but she was a millionaire when I started dating. Hence the cam, if you know, I leveled up the girls I date, right? Absolutely, right? So she's a millionaire. She's actually a multimillionaire now. She's in a transaction to become a multimillionaire right now as we speak. She's doing one deal that's adding over $1 million in net worth to her portfolio, which is absolutely super impressive. I'm so blown away by her. I only had a small hand to play in that, and all I did was say yes. Like she did all the negotiations. Let's give Darina a big round of applause. Very smart girl. That's because at some point she recognized the wealth gap and she started buying real estate. She started deciding she was going to become recession proof. So here's your mission, should you choose to accept this challenge. Your challenge is to take action and complete the tasks given to you every day for 21 days. Look, if after 21 days, you don't feel that this challenge has given you value, if it hasn't moved you forward, I will give you your money back, guaranteed. Here's the deal. I've been in business for a very, very long time. And if your $97 is not return, if I'm not giving you a huge return, I will send you the check with a smiley face saying, congratulations, you're the first. You're the first to request this check. I've brought over 110 people through this recession proof challenge in the last 90 days, and not a single person has asked for a refund. Hence the camera, if you know, that's tremendous value. Those are really good numbers. There's no other company out there who's like, yeah, over 100 people, and that's 100% satisfaction, my friend. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. And after 21 days, if I haven't brought you what you're looking for, then by all means, I will still be here for you. You can still send me messages in our groups. You can still ask questions in the Boston REIA. You can still come to our workshops. But I'm telling you, if I can't add value in 21 days, you know, it probably wasn't me. And that's something serious to be looking at. How bad do you want this? How bad do you want it? If everybody else is succeeding around you, going through stuff like this, if everybody else is doing well, why not consider that you might be the one too? Why not consider that maybe this is your year? Maybe you are the right person this time. Maybe you bought other programs and you failed at those programs. Maybe you've been in other opportunities and you missed opportunities. Maybe this is the one. And let's just pretend it is. What if? What if this is your shot? I remember in 2015, I was just sitting there in the room and this guy was like, you might be the one who makes it. And I'm telling you now, I was the one. And I wasn't the only one. That whole room, 80% of us moved forward because he was the right coach. He was the right mentor. He was the right guy to get us to that next level. I've spent the last 7 years learning what he did there and how he built me in that moment, in that 3 days he spent with me. And then I hired him last year. I spent $30,000, $32,000 to hire him as a coach to learn how to do it for other people. Hence the camera, if that's really cool. I'll tell you, it felt really cool for me because at the time when I met him, I couldn't afford him. And he was only $5,000 then. 2015, it was $5,000. When I met him in 2021, I reconnected. It was $30,000. And I asked for the payment plan. So it was $32,000. I paid a little extra interest. And so if you know you pay interest on payment plans, I learned the hard way, right? But I had in mind because I took the knowledge and I've been paying it forward. That I look at everything I've spent on my personal development to teach and share and coach as charity. It's my way of giving back. So the only reason I charge on this is to make sure you show up, because I know if I gave it to you for free, you wouldn't be there. People who pay attention. People who pay tend to stay. And people who don't pay, they don't show up. Hence, again, if you've ever disregarded something because it was free, right? How about your subconscious mind? That shit came for free and you don't even pay attention to how powerful it is, right? You think about your relationships, the people around you, like all those things that are so, so valuable that you disregard. Like you forget how valuable and important they are because they were free. They're right there every day. The most powerful thing for you is usually free. And we usually disregard things that are free. So I put $97. Like I said, if you can't handle $97, man, you got bigger problems than the recession that's coming. You right? Valmarie's like, I get it. So I'll say it because everybody has to say it. Join the challenge now. Take action. By now, you recognize this is probably the right opportunity. And if I'm not the right opportunity, man, I'll give you your money back. I'm cool with it. Like, I understand. Like, I've dated girls before who were not the one. You know, before I found Dorina, she was not the one. But I'm telling you, and I said, I sound cocky when I say this. I said this to a friend the other day. I was like, she was like, oh, like I would never date a guy like you. And I was like, dude, like everybody would date a guy like me. Come on now. I'm rich. I'm nice. I'm friendly. I'm smart. And I like to teach. I like to pay it forward. And she's like, see, that's exactly why. And I was like, I'm still everybody's type. Come on now. Hands to the camera. If you know that you can learn this, you can learn this real estate thing. You could truly get it. Absolutely.
Oh, and you're bald.
And I'm bald, right? See, come on now. And that hasn't slowed me down. So Keto, my shiny brother, you know what I'm talking about, man. We move faster because we shaved that hair.
Yeah, that's the best part about you.
And I'm recession proof, Kelly. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I want to open it up to questions for everybody who's serious, who knows this is the right thing for them. You're right. You're very smart. And congratulations. I can't wait to hang out with you on the 7th. I'm going to get you access to the Facebook group. So you'll actually be able to watch some of the other people who are interacting already. Are over 110 people who are in there. You're going to get access to my database of people who are recession proof, who are building their networks. And yeah, so everybody who's already signing up and already signed up, you have access tonight. And if you have joined the Boston REIA as well, if you've already texted Kelly and joined the Boston REIA, I'm going to give you access to my Recession Proof Real Estate Conference that's happening in April. It's a nonstop, crazy value event. Like I said, anything I do, I spend the money and I bring the value because I'm hoping that you might be the one. I learned the process to build millionaires, and all I'm looking for is my 100 millionaires who will be inspired to build 100 millionaires. This challenge is the first way you and I start the relationship. It's how we identify, are you willing to go all the way? Do you have what it takes? Because I will show you the strategy. I will show you the tactics, and I will ensure that you're implementing. At the end of the day, it will be you who decides whether you're worthy or not. And to the camera, if this was a fun training, you got a lot of good information. Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause for hanging around to the end. I have just one thing that I do right at the very end I think is super valuable. I answer questions, just like I do every single day. So hands to the camera if you got questions, unmute your mic. This is your chance. Go ahead. I am here to serve. I'm here for you guys. I'll stick around for probably another 15, 20 minutes. And something I've learned from working with really powerful, really smart mentors is if I don't have questions, I probably haven't been taking a lot of action. And if I don't have questions, I probably don't really want to actually do anything. And or the other side of this is I'm scared. If I don't have questions, it's probably because I'm scared to say something. Hands to the camera. If you agree, nobody in here is going to bite anybody who talks or asks questions. In fact, hands to the camera if you agree. Anybody who asks questions is probably very smart because they're the one who's going to get the answers. Awesome. Anything that you want in the world is on the other side of your knowledge. You've just got to know what it is. Ask the right question and you get the right answers. You get the right results. This is your chance. First unmute gets to go. Go ahead, Dorina.
So quick question. So now that the interest rates are over 7% just on residential with the bank, so would that make sense to go more of seller financing? And do you see seller financing rates also going up because sellers are not, they keep an eye?
I love this question. So I actually get this not often enough. What we're doing now is subject to existing mortgages. Right now, think about those mortgages that are in 3%, 4%. They're glorious right now. Sellers in the past would be like, why would I do that? But now they're like, oh, holy shit. You mean you'll actually give me the price I want if I just give you the mortgage? Yes, I will. You give me the house without me having to finance it. I will pay the payments for you. And you get rid of the property, and maybe I give you a small down payment or something. Wraparound mortgages are going to be a huge deal now, which is kind of a combination, Dorina, of seller financing and private lending, subject to existing mortgages. There's a lot, man. You've not lived through a real estate time. Like, remember, who's heard of subject to existing mortgages, like taking over other people's mortgages? That has been nearly impossible these last 4 years. It's been like it's like so hard to negotiate, right? But now they're they're offering it. They're like, hey, well, my mortgage. You want to take over my mortgage? They're like, I locked it in at 4%. Like, that's becoming like, please just give me the price I want. Like, sellers are starting to get to that point where they're realizing like you can't afford the price with that interest rate. But if you have my mortgage, look, I got this shiny little mortgage over here. So the game is changing. Like, things are becoming more available. And it is about understanding how to have those conversations, how to negotiate those deals. Not every attorney is going to want to do a subject to existing mortgage because there's some liability on the side with the banks doing their due on sale clause. So like, you got to know a thing or two. You got to have some relationships, but there are attorneys that are not afraid to do them. And fortunately, I have those relationships. So we'll hook you guys up. What other questions? Other questions, challenges, things that are stopping you? Questions about the challenge itself or real estate market? And let's give Doreen a big round of applause. Great question. I love that. What other questions? It's your chance. And I'm telling you, I don't want this to be that one moment where you're like, man, I should have just asked. I got that question that was like, stop me from making $1 million this year. I should have just unmuted the mic and just asked that question. Like, let's not live in a world of regrets. Let's give it a shot. Val Marie, go ahead. I see you're hustling. You've been swinging that head like hell yeah this whole time. Come on now. Go ahead, girl. And Patrick asked about in-person events coming up. I believe the Boston REIA is going to go in person probably sometime next year. We do some networking events called Real Estate and Cocktails. Cocktails and Real Estate. That happens in Foxborough. That's run by Alchemist Nation, which is affiliated with the Boston REIA. And then the other one we do is Cigars and Real Estate. I do that on the second Thursday of the month, third Thursday of the month. That's in Rhode Island. And that kind of goes back and forth between Providence or West Warwick. And yeah, Foxborough. Dorina, when is the Foxborough event? When is Cocktails and Real Estate? These are networking events. Not a lot of training there, but it's just really good networking events for the Boston REIA.
Usually it's the third Monday of the month.
Yeah, so you got Monday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you can find those on meetup.com. You can actually get access to those. And anybody at those events knows me personally. Most of them are my students, have been in the community for a long time. Mentorship students, I've mentored over 250 real estate agents and real estate investors and a few agents in the Massachusetts and Rhode Island market. And you go to any of those live networking events, the hosts are all students of mine, and many of the attendees are students of mine. So feel free to ask questions of whether this stuff works or not. And then ask them what their net worth is, right? Some of them are my millionaires. And in this community, we don't mind talking about wealth. Alchemist Nation is all about like, how do you get to that million? We talk about it clearly. It's not like you could ever take my properties from me. It doesn't, like, I've been on social media saying, look, I got $10 million of real estate, $10 million in companies. Like, what are you going to do about it? Right. I'm just like, it's not like you can go and take, my employees aren't going to work for you. Right. My property manager is not going to work for you. My tenants aren't going to start paying you rent. Like, I own the deeds. So we're not afraid to talk about money. We're not afraid to talk about real estate. Like, I think it's really, you got to get rid of those taboos, right? You got to get rid of all that taboo of like around money and like how do you make it? And so I'm glad you asked that question. Definitely go to the local networking events, meet people. These virtual trainings are really great for getting the knowledge, really great for getting that information, really great for leveling yourself up, finding out about opportunities. But there's no replacement for, networking in person. You definitely got to get out there. You definitely got to make some connections. Like I said, this is a contact sport. You got to meet those people. And so those opportunities are still out there. Absolutely. Just pay attention to them. Let's see. Duncan says, in the general meeting, we'll probably stay virtual at this point. Yeah, because it makes sense. Like, there's a lot more information that we can deliver virtually. We could bring in, like I'm saying, I'm in Tampa right now. Like, aren't you glad, like, we're not in person right now? Like, we're in virtual. Like, I'm able to be here without me having to fly. Like, okay, I'm glad I don't have to get on a plane tonight, right? So think about it. Duncan's able to bring in people from all over the country, the best of what they do, and share stuff with you in these virtual events. So this is like, it's really super, super valuable. We found like the leverage of being able to get the best speakers. A while back, we had Marco Kozlowski. He's a good friend of mine. He lives in Orlando, right? In fact, I just toured his building. If you go to my TikTok and watch back a couple days, he has 8 bars and restaurants in one building. He does all commercial real estate investing. That's his game. But he has this bar called like Spooky Halloween or something. It's Halloween all the time. I got to go hang out with him in Orlando because I was running my summit, and he popped in, and like that only happens because I'm down here. But he spoke to us here in the Boston REIA because he was just able to jump into a Zoom. Hence, care if you're like, Zooms are pretty cool now. Like that's a cool feature. So that's really valuable. Yeah, a lot of speakers won't travel anymore, myself included. I've told people like I won't travel unless it's a room of 100 people. It just doesn't make sense for me anymore. It's really hard to get myself out of Florida weather this time of year to go and travel to speak unless there's 100 people in the room. Hence the care if that's all right. If you understand, you forgive us. Thank you. But when it's Zoom, we absolutely don't mind. I love serving. I love teaching. I would never stop doing this, and I want to be a part of your success. So join the Recession Proof Challenge. If you haven't already joined Kelly and had a conversation with her about getting into the membership, you want to be at our conference in Florida. You get to come actually hang out with me in person in Orlando. I will be doing high fives. I'll be shaking hands. I'll be doing selfies. I'll be hanging out with you, and I'll be sharing like what's actually working right now in the market. And I'll be bringing in some really cool professionals to share their side of things too, like different ways of investing, different market strategies. I haven't locked down a few of the speakers that I'm aiming at getting, but they're pretty cool, powerful speakers. I've got one, Al Nicoletti, who's just a badass attorney. He understands subject to, he understands like setting up your LLCs the proper way so that you don't get sued. Like there's some really cool stuff, some really heavy hitters that I'm going to be bringing to this game. And I'm excited to share with you guys. Everybody who comes, I'm looking for friends, right? Like, let's be real. I'm looking for my millionaire friends to take to the top. Like, once we got the 100, then we take on and we build another 100. Hence, Cam, if you're down for the mission, 100 millionaires, aspire to build 100 millionaires. Hell yeah. Look, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I'll put it out there. It was put out to me. Darina said it to me about 3 years ago. She said, is it okay if I share one story before I log off? Is that all right if I share one story? All right, cool. So how the 100 millionaires came to be, I was at a point where I was kind of depressed. When you make a lot of money and like you kind of get bored with life, like it's like I kind of beat the game. Like I just kind of beat everything. And it's like I slept with all the pretty girls. I was, best friends with the mayor. Like I did all the stuff and all the business owners in the city. Like I ran my town. Like I just ran my town. I knew everybody knew me. And she asked me one day, she's like, so what are you looking for? And I was like, I need a challenge. Like I need something fun to do. I need something that's going to like take me to the next level, And she was like, well, what about making $1 billion? And I was like, at some point, the money doesn't really matter anymore, little lady. Like I assure you, like $1 billion doesn't get me excited. Although like I could see how it could, right? I was like, it'd have to be $1 billion through something like impactful, meaningful, right? So she's like, well, what could you do that would do that? And she's like, what do you really care about? I was like, well, I really care about building wealth. I really care about like teaching people how to build wealth. And so, well, how do you know if somebody's built wealth? And I was like, well, net worth of $1 million is a good sign they built wealth. Hence, Cam, if you agree. It's like, okay, they're a accredited investor. They've built wealth. Like that's a way you can, because goals are only dreams if they don't have a number attached to them. And so I had to attach a number to that. So I knew it was like a logical thing that I could actually track. So I was like, okay, like if I built a millionaire, that'd be pretty cool. It's like, okay, like, have you ever done it before? I was like, oh, fuck. Yes, I have. My business partner's a millionaire now because of me. So, okay, yes, I built a millionaire before. Damn. All right. So, well, how about anybody else? And I was thinking, I was like, well, I was a real estate agent. So a couple of my clients became millionaires because I helped them find off-market properties. I helped them, finance some of their deals with creative financing. So I was like, I've probably built about 5 millionaires. So she's like, well, is it, you want to build another one? And I was like, one? Just one? It doesn't feel exciting. Like it's okay. Like I could build. I'll build one more, right? And then I was like, Grant Cardone. What Grant Cardone would say? Grant would be like 10x, right? You got 10x that one. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna 10x at 10. And I was looking at it. I was like, I know I could do 10. Like I really know. Like it didn't feel like a challenge. It's got to feel like a challenge before you go and do something, right? Like for me anyway. Like I need challenges. Like I work out. I do weights because I like the challenge. I like to push myself. So I was like, what if I 10x 10? And that shit got me scared. Like that was like, I don't know if I could do that. Like that sounds like commitment. That sounds like some crazy shit. That sounds like I'm gonna have to dedicate and donate some time to this. I'm going to have to level me up. Like I'm gonna have to learn some skills. And that got me excited. It scared the hell out of me. And I'm telling you, 3 years ago, I did not know if it was even possible. I set a goal of 10 years, 5 years to do this. I set a 5 to 7, and I was willing to flex to 7 if I had to. Like that's how scared of building 100 million as I was 3 years ago. Now, over the last 3 years, I've gotten confident and I've gotten cocky. And I've gotten to the point where now I've got 30 millionaires. I'm like, dude, I might be able to slay this in the next year. Like, truthfully, like it is very possible that this next year will be the 70 people who finish off my 100 millionaires. Now, don't you worry. I know how depressed I get when I hit my goals. So what I decided to do, because, once you hit your goals, you're like, what do you do next, right? I fall into a funk. So I met Vinny Chopra. He found me on Instagram as a billionaire. And he said to me, what if we built 100 million millionaires? And I got almost an anxiety attack. Like, I was like, that is impossible, sir. Like in my head, because I don't tell a billionaire shit's impossible because he's a billionaire, right? I haven't earned the right to tell him something's impossible. So I was like, all right, like a million millionaires, sign me up. And then I'm on a podcast with Mark Victor Hansen. And Mark Victor Hansen wrote the book 1 Minute Millionaire. And Mark Victor Hansen also wrote the book Chicken Soup for the Soul. Who's heard of that book before? He's the #1 published author in the entire world. And so Mark Victor Hansen, I'm on the podcast with him. I'm interviewing him. And he says, yeah, when I wrote 1 Minute Millionaires, because I wanted to build 1 million millionaires. And something clicked in my brain. I was like, this shit is happening. This shit is real. Like, you got Vinny Smile Chopra, who's telling me to build 1 million millionaires. You got Mark Victor Hansen saying it's possible that he's going to do it. And so I don't know, like after we build our 100, after we hit the next 70, I think we're just going to keep going. Hence the care if that's all right, if we just keep going. Excellent. And, I hope you're one of them. I hope you're somebody who stands with us, stands side by side with us, and we help you build yours, then you help others build theirs. That is all for the night. I hope I've added value. I hope I've served in a manner that was valuable to you, and you're able to go forward with some of this powerful knowledge that you've gotten. I do hope that I get to hang out with you in the future. If you join into the Recession Proof Challenge, I'm really excited to hang with you and get you to that next level. And if you joined into the membership tonight, the Boston REIA's membership, then I'm excited to see you at the Recession Proof Challenge conference in person, where I get to teach you and share with you and do some selfies. Before we jump off, let's give Kelly and Duncan a big round of applause. They have been working really hard at the Boston REIA for the last decade, over a decade, serving, supporting future millionaires, building millionaires. To me, I love what the National REIA does, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. If it wasn't for the teaching and the coaches that I was inspired by, the mentors, the community members who've invested in my deals, who've brought me deals. So it's just been a tremendous honor to be able to work with you tonight and share some of the stuff that I've learned. Go ahead, Kelly. I see you unmuted the mic.
I did. Thanks so much, Walter. One thing I always like to remind everybody at the end of the meeting, that there's a lot of information in the chat bar. So you can actually copy and paste all of that information. This is our network. This is how we do it. So everybody, before we log off, make sure that you copy and paste the entire chat and save it in your files, so that you have all that valuable information, connections, phone numbers, names. It's how you rub elbows virtually. So make sure you do that.
Let's give Kelly Weirman one more big round of applause. She's absolutely amazing. I see Duncan dropping in the chat. He's right. He's got an awesome offer. It's the beta test trial. By the way, this is one of the cool things of being a part of the beta test. You get to try stuff out for free. So Duncan set it up. If you go to BostonRealEstateInvestorsAssociation.com, go to products and join his lead system that he's put together. Like he said, he worked hard on it, and he gave kind of like a little tease. The probate leads are probably the ones to go after. Even if you do have to pay a little bit for them, the probate leads are where I see a lot of opportunity over the next 5 years. So marketing, this is for members only. So everybody who signs up tonight, who becomes a member, that $280 is for the whole year. And then for this trial, you get 30 days free to get access to those leads. Hence the camera if you know it was worth staying on to the end. Awesome. Excellent. I'm glad you guys hung with us. Again, go to challenge.alchemistnation.com to join the Recession Proof Challenge. It starts Monday, November 7th at 1 p.m. And we run 1 p.m. every single day for 21 days. Every single session is recorded. You will get a mission in your email, and you'll also get access to the Recession Proof Challenge course itself on Alchemist Nation. I am looking forward to building you into a millionaire. If you already are a millionaire, then I just want to help you get there faster. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. Always work with the best. See you on the next one. This mission will not self-destruct, but your business might if you don't take action.
Good one, Walter. Now we need the theme song in the background.